Good morning and welcome to Atlantic Blowout. Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network featuring chit-chatting and conversation on special interest topics, news, events and stories through correspondent reports, expert opinion and stakeholders analysis. Today we'll be looking at the following stories. Insecurity. Ebonyi government shuts schools, declares curfew. Gilwata massacre. Federal government to arraign suspects Monday, sends strong signal. Benue State, police arrest 2 officers over armed robbery. And in the FCT, NLC protest wrong, workers paid 1 month salary, Olayinka. Missing funds, Syrup sues NNPCL. And in pollution, Ijaw youth threatens shutdown of oil production. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on Twitter, Atlantic TV Nets. Watch us live on our website, www.atlantictvnetwork.com. Welcome back to Atlantic Blowout. Today I have in the studio with me Mr. Daniel Washington. Good morning, sir, and welcome once again.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
Very well, very well.
You look good. I like green on you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, let's delve right into today's issues. Governor Francis Nwifuru of Ebonyi State has ordered the immediate closure of all schools in Amasiri clan in the Afikpo local government area and imposed a 20-hour daily curfew following a deadly attack allegedly carried out by assailants from the clan in Oporojo village, Eda local government area. According to reports gathered, the attack led to the killing and beheading of 4 people and the burning of over 9 houses. The measures were part of resolutions reached at an emergency meeting of the Ebonyi State Security Council on Saturday night, convened in response to the mayhem in Oporojo village, also Eda community. Earlier on Saturday, Nwifuru visited the affected community, commiserated with residents and directed security agencies to ensure the arrest and prosecution of those responsible. Briefing journalists after the Security Council meeting in Abakaliki, the governor announced a range of security and administrative measures aimed at restoring calm and preventing further attacks. He disclosed that on the council's advice, the state government approved the immediate dethronement of 2 traditional rulers in the Amasiri clan. Mr. Washington, it's quite sad how human lives has become dispensable to people. Day in, day out, we hear the loss of lives and properties. But one of the things that anytime we hear lives lost and properties destroyed, we're thinking banditry, kidnappings. But this is a clan and chieftaincy disputes. Due to this, we've seen the lives of people being lost. These are traditional rulers and leaders who are supposed to have the people's goodwill at heart. They are close to the people. One would think that as traditional rulers who are closer to the people than maybe government officials, we always come at government officials for not being close to the people. What does this say to our traditional system as well? Has human lives become this disposable, easily disposable?
Okay, thank you. There are harsh realities in our times as we speak, you know. It's quite funny that contest for traditional stool is constituting nuisance and dispute, unrest in the community. most of the times it speaks of a major challenge. The average Nigerian office holder or stool holder in quotes is actually desperate for power and can't. It reflects the fact that we know little or less of what exactly power is to be used for. Okay, at the core of why we occupy offices, at the core of why you are being brought into power or a particular stool as it relates to traditional institution, is so that you can properly govern the people. And I don't want to think that it calls for some levels of desperation, but then again, I must commend the state government for swinging into very, very proactive measures and actions to ensure that peace is being restored to the region. So it's highly commendable.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's the students that are going to suffer the outcome. I mean, I can understand that curfew is being imposed on the people due to adults' decisions. Now the children are going to suffer for it. I'm an advocate, a strong advocate when it comes to education. I feel children, and I believe that children are the backbone of every nation. How strong our educational system is in a country determines how good the country or how strong the country will be in the future.
Very true.
Now, due to adults' decisions, due to the struggle for power, children are being, are being left to fill the vacuum. Why should the children be the ones always paying the price for adults' decisions?
We are in an undemocratic, acclaimed democratic institution or country like Nigeria, and I would explain what I mean. When we have conversations like this, it gets me sometimes very emotional, because when one wrong sets in, it begins to have ripple effects in other institutions and other sectors that drive development in our economy or development in a region. Now, curfew has been imposed in that region. Students can go to school, pupils can go to school.
Yeah.
Automatically, it would have negative impact in the curriculum or in the course outline of those students. And of course, you know that this particular term is to expire or end around April, Easter period thereabouts. But automatically, things will get to affect because of this particular development.
Sure.
And it speaks of a lot. A lot as the day goes by. A lot is dependent on government. A lot is the quality of people who sit in positions of authority. It's a major concern, and it's something we need to pay close attention to. We have a lot of desperate leaders who front themselves to be selfless, but at the end of the day, they don't appear as they look. But then again, like I said before now, I want to commend the state government for swinging into action, and I'm hoping that it wouldn't just end in just announcements. It will go as far as proper grassroots implementation to restore peace and sanity to that region, so that students and pupils can still go back to school.
Okay, we've taken a look at the effect on education. Now let's look at the economy. Again, this is going to affect lives.
That's right.
And also affects the economy. This is a state that majorly struggles for day-to-day ends meet and what's not, to meet up with ends meet and all that. Now we've had a situation where the livelihood of people is being affected. What does this say to the economic effects?
Very obvious, because the moment you impose curfew in a region, the traction, by traction I mean the people who come, who buy things around the region, that daily transaction, that economic transaction that go on daily basis is being halted. Okay, so the circulation of money around that region will be low. Okay, the access to basic things that people want to buy will be quite low, and naturally, when money is in constant circulation, when there are transactional buyings, when constant buying and selling go on in a region, it makes both resources, it makes both money and tangibles available for people for better livelihood. And when all of these things are being halted, not even just that, the moment there is curfew, don't also forget that people move from place to place. It might be what we call keke in this region, it might be what we call bike in this region, or taxis or buses. When all of these things happen, people lose money, people lose their source of income. It's being strangulated, and all of these things at the end of the day we begin to cry for unemployment. And you know, one of the root cause of insecurity, banditry in particular, is hunger and unemployment. One of the root causes.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying that the government should just go beyond saying they've imposed coffee in that region, go as far as restoring these things back to normalcy. If not, it would begin to lead to something else. And I mean, I can tell you authentically, it's part of the reasons, is how most of the insecurities we see in different regions of the country started. When we see curfews that have been announced and lasted for a long time, all of a sudden people begin to colonize territories, and they've refused to stop what they are doing because insecurity has become a major source of income. And I'm hoping that that's not going to be the situation of that particular region.
All right. Now, finally, let's look at the traditional setting. We've, over time,
Okay. Just this past weekend, you heard about a lady who died as a result of the fact that there was no antivenom in the hospital to attend to her. It's not rocket science. It's a basic. It's something very basic that should, and it points down again and back to the efficiency, competence, and the patriotic spirit of the average Nigerian public office holder. Like I would always reference, this is not, it's not no intent to quickly swing into politics, but truth of the matter is I would constantly point to the fact that elections are by the corner, and the average Nigerian voter should begin to know who they should vote and how they should go about their voting, because the quality of people in public office reflects the quality of society we would experience.
Okay, speaking about the quality of lives of the people, you mentioned that there's not adequate procedures or measures put in place to ensure that such incidents never happens again in that community. But the people that have been displaced, we're talking about 3,000 people that have been displaced, we're talking about hundreds of lives that has been lost. The people involved, to us their statistics, to us their stories to be told, or a way to hold our government accountable. But these are real lives, real stories, people who have bled, cried, lost, and are still trying to recover. Properties, bonds that have been destroyed as well. What are the measures put in place to ensure that obviously the lives lost can never be gained back, but at least the properties, at least a sort of dignified place to live? Because if you look at some of these displaced camps, they do not even have adequate hospital or medical attention. Their kids there do not go to school. They do not even have a proper place to do their business. I'm talking about hygiene here. What are the measures to put in place to ensure that these people, even though they've lost their lives, even though their properties have been lost as well, they have some sort of dignified place to live or some sort of dignified life to live?
The truth of the matter is, it's in the place of the governor to respond to questions like this. All right? Yes. And when very sad, we have governors in those regions. All right? We have legislators in those regions. We have House of Reps members in those regions. We have senators in those regions. The question is, what are they doing? You have a sitting governor that has executive powers. All right, he has executive powers. You saw what happened in Ebonyi State. Immediately see what the governor is doing. But I want to ask one question. What has the Reverend Father in Ebonyi State, the governor of Ebonyi State, the governor of Benue State, what measures have he put in place to ensure these things?
He called to our attention that his hands are being tied, especially in rooting out the perpetrators of these incidents. That in as much as he tries to bring up the issue, they try to shut him down. So at least wouldn't you say he's trying to bring awareness to the case? I
appreciate his sincerity, but I must tell you, it's not enough. If your hands are being tied, resign. Let someone who knows how to lose the rope they used to tie his hand to occupy office, because we're talking about thousands of persons who have been displaced. In fact, it's so sad that the IDP camps are not even in sane state that his own children can live in. It's that sad. So like I said, this particular response, we should call on the government. We should call on sitting governors, because you are being given the responsibility. And just so you know, this is one of the regimes in many regimes. The Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime is one regime that has made money so available for governors. Okay, so if you go through the FAC allocation, you would find that every state is constantly and effectively being allocated funds. All right. So no governor, no sitting governor has the right to say my hands are being tied. The only grounds you can say my hands are being tied, when they tie your hand today, resign tomorrow. If you will not resign, don't sit in office and say my hands are being tied. Get to work. People are dying under your jurisdiction. People are dying under your nose. You need to act fast. Okay? I've seen other regions where the government of the day go as far as seeing how they can recruit more police officers, okay, relocate some levels of security apparatus and intelligence, okay, if you need to install CCTVs, do something. If your hands are being tied, leave office. Don't tell us your hands are being tied. You have executive powers, you have constitutional authority, you have state resources available at your beck and call, you have everything. If you cough, things would work. Okay, so if you're not able to do all of these things, it speaks a lot. It's either you're part of the insecurity or your hands are being tied. And of course, his hands are being tied, so he should resign. That's my own opinion.
Okay, now the judicial process, how transparent should it be? Safe to say that people have lost hope and trust in our judicial system. It feels that it's kind of complacent to some of the happenings in society, in our country. But in this case, we're talking about insecurity here. We're not talking about fraudulent affairs. We're not talking about, this has lost or, monies, whatever. We're talking about lives and properties being lost. We're talking about herdsmen who terrorized a community for so long that people had to abandon their homes for safety. People lost their loved ones, family and friends to unnecessary violence. In this case, how transparent should this case be? And also, how long? Because it's two things. It's either it's not transparent or it's delayed. Justice is being delayed. But I'm sure the people, the victims of this massacre, are waiting and hoping for some sort of justice, some way to relieve the pain in their hearts, to know that at least their people saw justice. So in this case, how transparent should the judiciary be, and how fast should the judgment also be?
They should be as transparent as possible, driven by the passion and pain of the fact that lives have been lost. Okay, people have lost their homes. Okay. Be sure to it that the people who are mourning, you try as much as you can to lightweight their mourning. We're in a country where presidential pardon is being given to a lady who killed her husband, and someone who is due for life imprisonment. Presidential pardon is being given to a drug addict, exporter and importer.
But the federal government realized their mistakes.
They did not realize they succumb to the pressure of the masses. And
if there
is presidential pardon abused, sorry if part of the reason why your station is bringing up this is to see to the government of the day can afford as much as possible so that the system is as neutral as possible. But how neutral is still boiled down to the average son and the persons who sit in that particular case to deliver justice.
Speaking of which, what these terrorists are being rehabilitated and put back into society. Now, in this instance, especially in the Benue State massacre, 3,000 persons displaced, and up to now are still displaced. They don't have access to food, medical, education, and what's not. And this can continue for as long as possible, looking at the trajectory of our country. Yet, we have some policies that, after a couple of years, would reintegrate these individuals back into society, not caring about the feelings of the victims, what they've been through. I mean, if not for anything, if we were up until now unaware of how severe the atrocities is, would you say the case in Benue State should serve as an example of why these people should not be easily led back into society after committing such crimes?
The criminal law or the criminal code provides thus that crime is a creation of statutes, okay? Murder, manslaughter is a crime. And as a matter of fact, the sentences, the judgment that is due you should be followed. I want to throw the question back to you. The areas where, when we talk about an amnesty, don't forget that crime operates at different degrees. There are degrees of crime that amnesty can serve. There are also degrees of crime that you shouldn't even mention amnesty, because the people who have become victims of a particular challenge, they will come after you. So please, in this particular situation, I don't buy into the idea of granting amnesty to a terrorist. A terrorist is a terrorist. It will take almost forever to rehabilitate the man who used to drop gun. He has carried gun for years. He has died, he has killed and lived by gun. He has survived and sustained his livelihood. You've seen videos of where these young boys in the north, they are spraying their parents' money that were given to them as a result of terrorism attacks and all of that. How do you expect that in the shortest of time they would survive or get out of that pattern of life? Do you know what it means that in 21 years of your life, you're just 21, you're just 22, and you have tested $10,000, and all of a sudden such lucrative source of income, no matter how bad, you now come back to say what you want to do to them is to put them in school and put them on a payroll of 300,000 naira per month. It's mental conditioning. That mental conditioning will not be very, very easy to cut out. Let justice be served them. If they need to serve jail them, let them serve jail them. Not amnesty.
Okay, let's move on. Still on Benue State. Benue State Police Command has confirmed the arrest of 2 servant police sergeants in connection with a suspected armed robbery operation, leading to the recovery of a stolen vehicle and weapons. Police sources disclosed that operatives of the command's surveillance patrol team acted on credible intelligence to intercept a red Toyota Corolla with registration number NEG 35AE, which had earlier been snatched at gunpoint in Akwanga and was heading towards Kefi. It was gathered that the suspect allegedly breached a police checkpoint in Angwan Lambu, prompting security operatives to give chase. They were eventually stopped and arrested at a military checkpoint close to Uke. Further identification revealed that the arrested officers are Sergeant Shadrach Abednego, attached to the STS Abuja, and Sergeant John Ayuba, attached to the CP Crack Squad FCT Command. According to police sources, investigations are still ongoing to establish the depth of their alleged involvement and to determine whether they are connected to other criminal acts. Serving police officers involved in armed robbery. This is a case of particular concern, not Nigeria. We've seen incidents or stories. Recently, I came across a story of a young man who was recounting his experience with the police. where they took him while he was driving, a young guy that was doing well for himself, and then took him to another state. He does not know anybody there. The police themselves do not have jurisdiction in that state. And then took him to a bush and told him to open all of his accounts. I mean, every one of his accounts, bank apps, everything. And then cleared each and every one of these accounts into their pockets. Now, it's a sad story. That's one. But this time around, we have security officers who are meant to protect lives and properties. Individuals or security outfits that the people have placed their trust in, hoping, praying that they will protect them, are working against the same citizens whose hard-earned taxes, hard-earned money are being used to pay their salaries. Mr. Washington, what can you say to the story?
How much is their salary?
Okay.
When banditry has become so lucrative that even the security officers who should enforce the law by dealing with culprits have now become part of armed robbery, then it speaks of a lot. It clearly lets you know that it has become so lucrative. It has become so lucrative that even the officers are seeing that banditry and armed robbery has become a major source of income. And whether you like it or not, the average Nigerian citizen is impoverished. Okay, the statistics have it that the average Nigerian, the income per capita per head of a Nigerian is quite low. All right, that's the reality we have found ourselves. And sorry to say, whilst it sounds very bad, it's scary when the people who should protect you, the people they are using your tax, the money they tax you, okay, they are paying them, and yet they are still going out to do armed robbery. When the ones who should protect you, they are joining heads to make sure life is not easy for you, it points a finger to the state, the decadence in our institutions, the decadence in our system. And let me also say this: when we speak of systems, structures, institutions, we're talking about individuals sit in office. Okay, this is just the one that we are seeing. What about the ones we are not seeing in their numbers? So I think somebody will say it's time for us to protect ourselves. Well, I can't say we should protect ourselves.
Are we going to protect ourselves against police officers? Let's say in an instance where, in the case of the young gentleman, where police officers, bundled him up to a different state to extort money from him, should he had defended himself and maybe in the process killed or caused harm to one of the officers, how would he have defended himself to the public or to the courts?
So the law doesn't come and hold me after this broadcast. Okay, but my point is, don't forget that our law provides for self-defense.
Yeah.
Okay, within the tentacles of self-defense, as it involves the law, as much as you can, be sure that